You can help save a life through the Friday Night Lights Marathon. Join the Be The Match registry by going to some upcoming high school football games or head to wistv.com/bethematch. It's as simple as a swab of the cheek, but your commitment on the bone marrow registry could be someone else's cure.
Our season so far has been going all right. I mean, we're 1-2. We've been swimming pretty good though. We've swam some hard teams, and we swam Lexington this week, which is another hard challenge for us, but hopefully we'll come out with a dub. So.
This Wednesday, September 20th, the Blythewood High School swim team takes on the Chapin swim team at Columbia Country Club. It's at 6 o'clock, and we want to see all you guys there.
Reporting for BHS Roar Nation, this is Jalen Ellis and Will Halliday.
So I've actually been at BHS since it opened, so this is my 12th year at the school. I'm an AP US government teacher, and kind of my path out of Blythewood for a year was 2 years ago. I worked for the Department of Education on a part-time basis as a part-time teaching ambassador fellow, and then at the end of the 2015-2016 school year, the department asked me to stay on a full-time basis for a year to serve as the lead fellow for the incoming group of fellows, and to help bridge the fellowship across presidential administrations. So I was working for President Obama and then into the Trump administration. And so that's kind of how I ended up out of Blythewood for a year. But the whole time I was still technically a Richland 2 employee, just kind of on loan to the federal government. So I was a teaching ambassador fellow for the U.S. Department of Education. What that means is that I was hired on a full-time basis for the year. My family and I moved up to D.C. We actually lived in Silver Spring, Maryland, just outside of D.C. My wife homeschooled our two girls for the year, and I commuted into D.C. every day on the train, which is a little different experience than living in Blythewood, South Carolina. At the department, my job was twofold. It was first to engage in outreach on behalf of the department to educators. So I visited 12 different states, talked to teachers in 50 states plus 4 U.S. territories and 2 foreign countries, Bangladesh and Holland, in order to share about what the department was doing and how it impacted educator roles. And then the second piece was to bring educator voice back into the department. So that meant working on work groups and committees. I served on the Secretary's Policy Committee and also met on a somewhat routine basis with the Secretary of Education to provide the perspective of a teacher on department policies and priorities so that they could be grounded in the reality of what goes on in schools.
All right, so I've known Mr. Kelly. It's my 5th year at Blythewood High School. I've known Mr. Kelly for 4 years. He's awesome. He's my lead teacher. What I respect about him is about being a teacher. Is the just the relationship he has with his students and the knowledge of the content. You just put both those things together and it's just awesomeness. But he takes a subject that can be kind of dry and boring in government and really makes it practical and exciting, and especially with the stuff with the government in today's politically charged climate. We need more students who are politically aware.
Patrick Kelly's an awesome teacher. I've known him since my 7th grade year when I first started running cross country. And this year it's really exciting to have him as a teacher for government, my favorite class of the year. And it's awesome to finally get to have him as a teacher.
Mr. Kelly's class is super awesome. It's very individualistic in terms of you do a lot of independent study, so you can go at your own pace. And he, as an individual, is just a really good person, and it's a lot of fun. And he really makes everything easy to understand. His class is kind of complicated subject material sometimes.
The transition back home to Blythewood has been great. It's been fantastic to get to see friends, colleagues, and especially the students. That was the number one thing that I missed in Washington, was the chance to work with students every day. The transition's also been exhausting. Working in a school is a lot harder, at least from a physical demand standpoint, than anything I did in DC at the Department of Education. So I have definitely been feeling it, getting up to speed with the start of the school year, but as I'm getting settled in, I'm just excited to be back.
Reporting for BHS Roar Nation, this is Jalen Ellis.